Hi, I'm Owen from Square Balloon, and today I'm going to teach you how to create an Amazon S3 bucket, and then how to create an IAMS user that only has access to that bucket. And then I'm going to teach you how to add that bucket into Akeeba Backup in Joomla so that you can back up offsite. So you're not saving it on the same server, because if you were and a server crashed, you'd also lose your backup. So having it offsite is really, really useful, and Amazon S3 is really cheap way of storing things. So I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to show you some of the settings that can help me to save money on the storage space there. So let's get started. I've logged into Amazon AWS. So you need to create an account for this. I've already created one. I won't show you how to do that. You can learn that yourself in your own time. And the first thing I'm going to do is create an IAMS user. So I'll type in here IAM. Ooh, that's AIM. IAM. Here we go. So identity and access management, basically creating users for AWS. So first thing I'll do is go to users. In fact, let me show you first of all that I've created some roles. No, I haven't. I've created some user groups, and I've created one called S3 Bucket Creator. So you could just do this by creating a group, but I'm going to show you the settings I've got in there. And click into it. Here you'll see the permissions that I've given is Amazon S3 full access. So what this means is anybody in this group has full access to Amazon S3, but they don't have access to all of the other things in AWS. You can do lots of things in AWS. You can create a whole server. You can create 1,000 servers, and it can be done in seconds, really. You can do it using something like Terraform, use a code base to create, hundreds of servers very quickly. And it'll cost you a substantial amount of money. So the best thing you can do is limit access of these people in case you ever do get hacked. Somehow you lose not lose the access, someone else gets access. So this is what I've done. So to take you through it, if I go to user groups, I'll create a group, and then I'll give it a name, S3 only. Type S3 in here, and you can see it's a bucket creator. And then, oh, that's the username, sorry. I won't add users at the moment. Later on you could do that. Here's what I would do here. And then I would click on Amazon S3 full access. You can click through and you can give more detail sometimes. Or you can copy this as well. This is sometimes useful to have this code. But from now I don't need it. I would just click create group. I've already done that, so I'm not going to click that button. Now if I go to users, and I'm going to create a user, and what I like to do is create, you can't use dots or full stops in this, or periods. So what I like to do is call this the domain name, and then dash the dash user. So I would call it, my domain name co UK. I can't use dots, so I'm going to use dashes. And I'm going to do double dash and do user, and then I'm just going to say programmatic access. They do not need password access. They do not need to be able to log into my AWS console, so I don't allow them any more than they need to. Programmatic access means that we can access this programmatically, which was what Akeeba Backup will be doing. So that's all we need. Click on next, and I'm going to add them to the user group, and I've got the S3 bucket creator, so I'll add them to that one. Next is tags. I don't need tags, so I'm going to click next, and now I can review it, and I've got my username here, which is important to remember, and I'll create user. Obviously this isn't a user I'm going to use, so I can show you this stuff. This user I will need for my AWS, and this access key I'll need, and the secret access key I would also need. So if I then go into Akeeba and I go to configuration, I need to create a new profile. I'm going to create a new one called S3. Save and close. Now I've got S3. I go into control panel, I switch to S3. I'm in there, and now I hit configuration. Now most of this stuff is okay. but what we're looking for is the offsite backup. Sorry, I haven't done this on Joomla 4, so I might have a little bit of no post-processing. So post-processing we're going to upload to Amazon S3. Okay, so we need the access key. So we'll get the access key here. Take away the space, none at the beginning. And we need the secret access key. So I've got here. So I'll add that in there. And the region, I would need it in Europe, so I'll put it in London. And post-processing engine. Right, let's go. That's very annoying. How do I get rid of that? Oh, there you go. It's got right. Great. Bucket. I need to know the bucket name, so I'll tell you that in a second. And I need to. Don't need the username. I thought I need the user. Maybe I don't. We'll come back to that in a minute. But I do need a bucket name. So I've created my user. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go to S3. And this is where I'm going to create my bucket. So first thing I'm going to do is create bucket. And I'm going to give this the domain name. My domain name co. I just leave it like that. You could add double dash and bucket if you wanted to. I'm going to make sure this is on London because that's my closest one. I copy the settings from another bucket, to be honest with you, and that helps me to take a shortcut. But what you need to know is this is recommended. We'll leave that. Block all public access. Yes, we don't want people to download our backup files, do we? So we block the public access. Versioning. I don't really need it here, so I'll leave it disabled. Tags I'm leaving as it is. This I don't really need. But I would give it encryption. No reason not to. And object lock I don't need, so I create the bucket. And what I will do is I'll go in here, get my permissions, and I'll copy this bucket policy. And this is another thing I do to make it my domain name and the permissions here, and then I will edit this policy. I'll paste this, and you can see the policy actually tells me who's allowed to access it. So this one is saying that I am user, and it's given this one. Oh, this is the wrong one. In fact, that is a dead domain name, so I don't need that. So I'm going to copy this username now. This is where I need it, not in Akeeba. And I paste that in there. So the user's there correctly. Now we know this bucket is the wrong name, which we're going to get from this bucket name here. So we could actually just copy that whole thing if we wanted to, but I've done it now. And that's it. Once we've saved that, so I'll paste this into the comment so you have this. But that's what I always put as policy, which basically is saying the only person who can access this bucket is this IAM user. So the bucket is restricted only to one person, and that person is restricted to only being able to work with Akeeba, with Amazon S3 buckets. So I'll save that. Unknown error. Policy must be valid JSON. What have we done wrong here? First byte must be that. Oh, it's a space. See if that works. There you go, that's what it was. Okay, so now I've got that sorted. I've got my bucket name. Now I can copy this into here. And that's pretty much all you need to do. I'm now going to save it. And I'm going to test if it works. So first thing is to do is to wait and see if this works, and as it goes through it will do the normal backup, but right at the end it will do the post processing, which is going to be an upload to Amazon S3 bucket, and I'll show you how to check if it's worked in just a second. Let's just let it go through this. Again, this is honestly for my entire websites, I probably pay less than £10 a month for all the backups, so it's really cheap. It's really useful to have them off-site. Akeeba's great, it integrates really well, so if I want to pull them back from my bucket, just click a button in Akeeba Backup and it draws it back down from S3 and onto my local server, and then I can restore it if I need to. So really useful. So finalizing backup process and now doing post-processing. So this is a bit where we'll see if it passes or fails. If I've done something wrong, it will fail. If I haven't, it will pass, and we'll see it. Looks good so far. Sending it up, 100% complete. Great, so that has worked. So what you want to check for, if you do see any errors, is your username in the policy correctly and the bucket correctly? Is your bucket name spelled correctly, no spaces? Is your region correctly? I've done that a few times with the wrong region. And is your IAMS user correct, and have they all got access to everything? So now back to my bucket, and I click on objects, and if I just refresh, and we'll see it's there. So now we see that an object has been uploaded, so we know that the backup is offline, and that's all sorted. So let me just go back and show you some of the configuration settings as well. I hate all those pop-ups. Quota management. So this is really useful. So I enable the remote file quotas, enable the maximum backup age. So don't delete backups taken on the first of the month. So what I will do is I will set up a cron job to run this backup, and it will run it every single day. So I will always have a backup from yesterday. Worst comes to worst, 1 day is my maximum. In e-commerce sites or something which has got live data constantly changing, I might do it more frequently, once an hour or something like that. But most of the time for brochure websites, once a day is probably okay. So if I do this backup every day, what I'm saying is the maximum backup stage is 31 days. So I'm going to have 31 backups, and everything older than that I'm going to delete. Now that's not a long time. Sometimes there's a bug that you don't notice, and it might be a month before a customer reports it, which is why we're saying don't delete them if they were taken on the first of the month. So I take them every day and delete all of them except for the one on the first. So I'll always have, further backups from the first of this month, first of last month, going all the way back, and obsolete records to keep 50. So I'll have 50 of these monthly backups, and after that it can remove them. And that is all I really need to worry about on this account quota. Erase old backup files if they're more than a limit to find this setting. So more than 3. So that is all good. So I'm going to save that now. And now that's saved, you need to know how to do the cron job. So schedule automatic backups. And this is great because it already tells you just copy this into your cron job. And you have to change this path to your PHP. I can't tell you that path. You'll have to ask your host for that path. But once you have it, save it somewhere because it will be the same for all of your sites. You might need to update it as PHP updates, but even so, it'll be the same. And this, if you're using cPanel, this is very common, this path, so you will understand it completely. So hopefully that helps you to understand that. I might as well go through and show you the cron job part. Here's the cron job. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this command. Oh, it's not a command. Get this command, paste it in here. What I'm going to choose is common settings, and I'm going to say once per day is what I said. Remember I said if it's e-commerce I might do it once per hour or something. Here's once per day, and I just need to get this PHP path off my host. So sometimes it's something like that, sometimes PHP 7 or something like that. But your host will be able to give you that. Once I do that, I hit add new cron job, and then it comes. I know this PHP path is incorrect, so I'm going to delete it. But that will now run every day, and you can check with your host to make sure that's running. And that will then, profile 2 by the way, something you should be aware of. If I go back to my control panel, profile 2 is my S3 one, so I want to make sure it's on that, not profile 1. Other than that, you're good to go. I hope this has been very helpful. I do this on all of my sites. It gives me a lot of peace of mind that all of the sites are backed up remotely and saved somewhere off my server. If my host ever dies, if they go bankrupt, if the server dies, many other reasons, I've got a backup. My host does daily backups anyway, so I am protected, but I really hate the idea of relying on my host. If my host goes bankrupt, I may not be protected. If there's a fire and it gets my host and they haven't got offsite backups like this, I may not be protected. I'm entirely relying on someone else's process and on them having tested the backups to see if they work, and a lot of things that are outside of my control. This way I retain control of my backups, and yes, I do have one with my host as well, but having two doesn't hurt, and I'm in control of this one, so I much prefer it. So I would highly recommend it to everybody. Thanks for watching. If you find this useful, please give us a like and a subscribe, and if you like any more videos, please put it in the comments and we'll try and help you.